Welcome back to the BS Machine. What a cool episode I got for you guys today. I'm Tommy Kendi. I'm your host. And a while ago, I'm talking like 12, maybe 10, 12 years ago, I was touring around in my band, being one of the cool kids. And we came across this radio presenter called Sarah Maree. And we've sort of stayed in touch over the years, but just randomly, we sort of had a chat on Instagram the other day, and I was like, "Fuck, you got to come on my podcast." and one of the reasons I want to get Sarah Maree on is because she is this person that I've seen over the last 10, 12 years just fucking stick to her guns in terms of what she wants to do, and I really wanted to find out her journey on how to just stay focused on what you want. And I've seen you do it just over the years in a number of different areas in your life. But one thing, in terms of being a radio presenter, even back then when we met you, we were like, fuck, who's this chick? She's got so much. She's got fucking balls. She's got courage. She knows what she wants, and she's just going for gold. And the tenacity that you must have had to get to where you are today. I mean, today you're one of the main presenters on Triple M, and if you're listening from somewhere else around the world, Triple M is one of the main radio stations here in Australia, and Sarah Maree is one of the radio presenters on there, and she's really worked through the ranks, and I'm so glad and so honored to have you on, and I'm so excited to hear your story, Sarah Maree, because I definitely think there's a lot of people at the moment that they've got dreams, but they're just being fucking half-assed around it. Either that, they're being half-assed, or they're just being too fearful and too scared to go for what they want. So, Sarah Maree, welcome to the BS Machine.
Thank you so much for having me on the BS Machine. It is such a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on. Also, I do want to correct you. Do you know it's actually more than 12 years ago that we...
Fuck. When was it? Can you tell me?
We met before I moved overseas. So that means that we must have met around 2006.
Crazy, because that's when it all began for us in the band, 2006. Yeah.
It must have been around 2005, 2006, because I moved overseas in 2007.
Yeah.
And then I came back home, and you guys were just exploding and doing so much more, and then relocating overseas and all that kind of stuff. So, so that was when we met, when I was, still in uni, and I was doing the community radio thing. And
where was it? In Geelong? Where was it? I can't remember.
It was at Sin FM, so what's known as that Student Youth Network.
Yes.
And I had been volunteering there before that sort of became a thing. They amalgamated with two other community stations and then created this amazing community radio station for students. And so I was there, and then I don't know if it was a Sin event, because you guys definitely played at a Sin event at the Palace. I remember that. I've got the photos.
Yeah.
I think we just met, in the gig scene. You guys were playing, and I was going along, and I was hosting the breakfast show on the radio station, and that had an Australian music focus. So constantly going out and trying to meet Australian artists, and I think that was just how we connected.
Yeah. And so even back then, like what was the time where you were like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to be a radio presenter. This is what I want to do. When was that?
Year 12, when I realised that my knees were not going to hold up to be a professional dancer and theatre actress.
And was that the original thing? Is that what you originally wanted to do?
If we had this conversation when I was much younger, I would have told you that I was going to swim for Australia. That was my thing. I was into swimming. I was on the swimming squad. I was a swimming captain. That was my thing. And then I just had a lot of injuries, and I had a couple of major accidents, and I had to change my stroke. I had to change what was my main stroke, because I wanted to swim, but I couldn't do it anymore. I had to go into long distance, and I kept trying to make it work, but it really wasn't working. And I was still dancing and singing and acting on the side. And I was still going and doing community radio when I was in high school as well on weekends. And I'd never even considered it to be a career. When I realized that swimming wasn't going to be it wasn't for me. Then I thought, I'll definitely follow acting, because I love theatre. I love live performance. I had been competing doing improv as well, you know, when you do, it's like you have inter-school sport, but then we had inter-school theatre sports as well. So I've been doing that and I just loved it so much. And then my focus became being a triple threat. So for BCE, I studied dance and drama, and I was doing my AMEB exams for singing. And then I just realized, I'm like, I don't think I've got the theatre chops. I don't think I can do this. I've sustained a lot of injuries, a lot of severe injuries. And one of the teachers at school said to me, what about radio? That's still performing. And it just clicked. I'd never even realized the whole time that was performing. It is a type of performance. And once I made that decision, everything just fell into place. I remember my brother calling me and telling me about a TAFE course that was at Holmes Glen TAFE. And that was for television and radio. And I'd gotten into university up in Albury Wodonga, but I was only 17 at the time and I didn't want to move. I was like, I can't even drive. I don't even have my P's. How am I going to go and move to Wodonga? And he said, why don't you go do this TAFE course? And so I did that. And then from there, I went to Swinburne University and studied radio as well. And it just kept going from there and being able to do radio placements. And then that led me to getting my first radio job in Canada, of all places, because no one would hire me here.
What a classic. So you traveled to Canada to take up this job?
Well, no, I took off to Canada because I was sitting here and I had my qualifications and no one was hiring me, and everybody in my uni class was, you know, in a job. They'd moved somewhere in Australia for radio, and I just couldn't land a gig. And I thought, I'll just go save some money. So one of my girlfriends and I, we got a job. My mum actually got me the job as a visual merchandiser for Coles and Woolworths. And we'd go around and we'd have to go and change the facings for.
Yeah.
So we're like changing the facings for light bulbs and seeds, and we'd have a great time. We would go down road trips, spend hours, and you're working with your best friend. Like, honestly, I didn't think it got much better than that. We saved our money. She bought a car. I bought flights, and I took off overseas.
Unbelievable. And that's
when
where
I was
started.
there, I emailed Dad probably like a few months in, and I said to him, but thank goodness we had email as well, because it would have been a completely different story. I would have had to take off with a CD drive, with like a CD to take with me. But I emailed Dad and I said, if you go to, this folder on the computer, and if you can attach this, it's my radio demo. I found a radio station nearby. Got in contact with the program director over there, Rob, at Mountain FM in Canmore, which is located in the beautiful Canadian Rockies. And he got back to me straight away, and I went in and I did a demo, and then that was it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And then so back then when you started this whole process and you were in Canada and you got the job and whatever else, like was there like this inner fire within you to go, oh, like this feels right for me, like this is yeah,
there was that fire, but also I had this thing probably only up until a few years ago, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, where I would be driven to do things to prove people wrong, which is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. I don't advise anybody to ever function that way, because the motive should be what makes your heart and soul sing, not what's going to piss someone else off if you succeed. That shouldn't be your MO. And unfortunately for me, that really was something that was deep down inside. Of course, I love radio. Of course, I love broadcast. But there were so many people telling me that I wasn't going to make it. I didn't have the chops. I didn't have the X factor. It wasn't good enough. I wasn't what they were looking for. I should just go and do something else. I was like, stuff you. And so then when I got the job in Canada, it was incredible. But the whole time that I was there, I was sort of thinking, even if I made it over here, I've made it, whatever that means, the people back home aren't going to know. I need to go back home and kill it. which is terrible.
Is there
bad.
is there a person or is there a person that you really wanted to prove wrong?
Oh yeah, I've got names. Absolutely.
We used to have this in the band. We used to have this file, this list called the Hitler list. And basically, if you went in the fucking Hitler file, you're never
Yeah.
ever coming out. So
Oh my
there
gosh.
was people that wronged us in the band or fucked us
Yeah.
over, and
Yeah.
they went in the Hitler file. Apologies, whatever the fuck, it didn't
Yeah.
matter. If you're in the Hitler
Yeah.
file, you're never coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like my name is Earl, let them go through and do their apology list. Like, yeah, I get that. I guess somewhere in my head I had something similar, just things that people would say. And isn't it funny how someone can say a comment to you, could be one sentence. It may not even be this repetitive blow or active bullying, but you hold on to it and you sit on it and you stew on it. And for them, they've dropped it, they've said it, they'll never think of it again. And you're there having this thought process of they don't like me, or I'm not good enough, or why don't they like me? Well, that's none of your business why they don't like you. So you just need to chuff on. And that took me a very long time to deal with that. But yeah, I had a really big burning desire to be good at radio broadcasting and media broadcasting. But absolutely, there was this thing down the bottom where it was like, I will show you, I will do this, and I will nail it. Yeah.
And can I just ask, like, in terms of those belief systems, like, I'm not good enough, I'll never get there, whatever. What was your main belief about yourself?
Do you know what? I never ever thought that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
This is this thing. I was like, it'll happen. It's not no, it's not now. Or not with that person, or not with that radio station. I had this, I don't know where it came from, this just assurance, this confidence that it would all work out if I just kept working on it, even though I would have those really bad thoughts in the back of my head at some point.
What were they? Because we all had those limiting thoughts. So the limiting thoughts for you, where did they come from? Was it because I mean, look, for example, with me, my limiting behaviors and my limiting thoughts always, when I go for something that's big, I'm like, there is not a chance I'll ever fucking succeed at this, and someone else will get me right at the end, and it'll just be a fucking failure.
Yeah,
that's the belief system I always have, that I'm not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been people along the way, but I genuinely think that a lot of it actually just came down to media representation.
Yeah.
When I was starting out, I remember people asking me, do you want to get into television? And of course I auditioned for the VJ competition on Channel 4. That's what you did.
Actually, I did too.
Yeah?
Well, no, it wasn't Channel V. It was, what was the other one? MTV. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It was, I auditioned for it, and I remember, and it was some competition or whatever. And I actually got right to the, somewhere near the end. And then Ruby Rose got it.
Ruby.
Fucking bitch.
Look at her now.
I know. But yeah, so Channel V's, and keep going.
Well, I did that, but no one ever told me this. This is just the stuff that I guess you pick up on in magazines, and you're watching television and you see red carpets and all that kind of stuff. And I am covered in scars. The scars on my face have healed, and I've done a lot of, a lot of scrubbing and healing. And thankfully, if you get scars young enough, your skin does rejuvenate. But when I was in year 8, I was in a very serious car accident, and the seatbelt didn't lock, and I went into the dash.
Wow.
And so I had scars, like shrapnel scars everywhere. My legs got caught in the dash, in the glove box. It's quite plastic. And all that plastic was in my knees and down my legs. and I'm covered. I've got scars everywhere. They're quite light now because it was a long time ago. You know, we're talking over 20 years ago now. But they were quite red at the time. And so I'm looking at red carpet photos of TV presenters, and they've got these beautiful dresses on, these great shoes, and you'd always see the footage of the red carpet, especially like on Entertainment Tonight, panning up from the bottom up. And I thought, well, they're going to see my scars and I can't do this, so I can't be on TV. And when I was, maybe 9 or 10, I completely shattered my elbow. I was pushed off a flying fox, and I have a huge scar. Like, it's massive.
Yeah.
Crazy. And I would cover it. I wouldn't show anyone, and I would get picked on for it. And so I just thought, I want to do media, but I need to hide my scars, so I'll do radio. And that was honestly one of the biggest things that made me choose that from such a young age. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird to think about that too, because when you see people talking about just representation, you know, people of color, gender fluid people with disabilities, you know, just someone with a different hair color. Just see someone on TV with glasses. I wear glasses because I have astigmatism. Like, you didn't see that. You saw utter perfection. And I didn't think I was perfect. So radio gave me a good studio to hide in.
Yeah, yeah. And just out of interest, with like you know, you chose radio obviously because you want to be in media and whatnot, but you also chose radio to hide a little bit. But it'd be interesting to hear whether when you actually got to being in radio and working in radio and that being your career, was there still part of you that wanted to hide?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. You just want to go in and I was telling my boss at Triple M, one of my bosses, probably only earlier this year, and I reckon I'm only conquering it now. This year, it's the return of people coming into the office now, and I'm putting in a really big effort, right? I heard on the grapevine years ago that I came across as rude when I would go into work because I wouldn't go in and say hi to people. But in my head, I didn't want to annoy them. I just wanted to go in, go straight to the studio, get my work done, do my thing, be good at it, work hard, not be seen. Like, I just want to do it, you know, because that's the other thing. I never wanted to be a goner. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I just wanted to work hard. I wanted to put in the effort, get it done and go. And so I would always go into work like that. I just go in, charge for the studio. People are like, is she going to say good morning? How rude. And I never even thought that would come across as rude. That was me going, I don't want to annoy you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm breathing. I'll breathe over here. I'm so sorry. Seriously. But it's so bad.
Unbelievable.
So, now I say hi.
Yeah, now you say hi. Yeah. But isn't that crazy, the perception people have, the different and this is what I think when people talk about that we live in, you know, the world we live in, every single human being has a different perception of how things are. And so it's like one thing could be a certain type of reality for one person, but the other thing could be a totally different type of reality for the other. And that's a perfect representation of it. It's like you literally walk in, you're like, you know what? I don't want to piss people off. I don't want to annoy them. I'm just going to quickly run and then, you know, run to the studio and do my work. And they're like, what a fucking rude bitch. Doesn't say hi. Doesn't want to connect with me. Does it? She's rude. She's fucking, yeah.
Isn't it crazy? And it was, I don't know, sometime in the last 2 years it blurs, but I read something along the lines of, you know, there are 1,000 different versions of you according to different people. You know, according to the person who served you at the checkout, according to the person who saw you at the tram stop, according to your best friend, according to your enemy. There's 1,000 versions that are, or more, that are just floating about, that exist. So which is the one that someone's going to see today? It's a nice little check yourself moment. Yeah.
And so when you started actually working in radio and you're getting paid and it's your actual career, and you're doing things and you're interviewing stars and all this type of stuff. And you've got your own show and all this cool shit. Was there ever a part of you that thought, man, I've got to do this really well. I've got to be perfect at this. Otherwise, someone else is going to take my spot, or I'm going to get fired, or something's going to happen.
Yeah, I was comparing myself to other people and how long did it take them to get to where they were going? How long did it take for them to get to Metro Radio with a great show? And I was very blessed that I got to actually stick to my very arrogant timeline. And I came back to Australia. Where did I work? I got a job at Nova. That was a fluke. I wasn't even meant to come back for that long. I was just coming back for Christmas. And then when I was getting ready to leave Canada, I was having a lot of hospitalizations at the time, and I didn't know what it was. And the doctor said to me, I think you have endometriosis, but you're not going to be able to have the operation over here because you're not a resident. It's going to cost you too much money, and it's not going to be covered on your travel insurance either. Maybe you should investigate it when you get home. And then you quickly learn that that's a very long process. So I couldn't just jump back on a plane and go back to Canada. I left my stuff. I left my snowboard there. I left my bindings, everything.
Yeah, you're just like, I'll pop home, come back.
Yeah, I honestly thought that I'd go back, and then I didn't. So that was a bit strange. And then I was friends with one of the techs at Nova Entertainment, what is now known as Nova Entertainment. And he said, we need some paddle operators for summer. Everyone's on holidays. We knew each other through Scouts. And he was working there, and I was emailing him at LAX airport saying, I'm on my way home. I'll be there in a day. I had an interview the next day, and I'm paneling Akmal Saleh on Drive the next day. After that, I was so jet lagged. I was like, what is this? What is this? This is so strange. I was just in Canada, and 2 days later I'm paneling. And then they had like their Christmas party, and everybody called in sick, and the boss calls me. He's like, can you pull a shift? I was like, yeah, I can pull a shift. I'm going to pull the best bloody shift you ever seen in your life. Go into the radio station, and then all of a sudden I'm on air. I've gone from being, a silent panel operator to having this opportunity. I was like, I've got to make the most of this. I got a couple of weeks out of that. And then I was hiking up in the Dandenongs, and I had a bad fall. And actually, I have the drummer of Duke Cartel to say thanks for saving me.
Yeah.
Eddie,
yeah.
Yeah. He was running up the 1,000 steps. I'd done 1,000 steps. I was coming back down, and I had torn a few things in my left ankle, had fallen on my right ankle, had opened up I lost like the fat pad of my right knee when I skidded down.
Yeah.
Like opened up my knee, and so I couldn't walk down. My girlfriend couldn't carry me by herself, and so my best friend and Eddie chairlifted me down, carried me down to get me in the ambulance. And then I had to go back to Nova in a wheelchair. I just come back from overseas. I was like, guys, am I going to be able to wheel myself into the studio? They're like, yeah, are you okay? Anyway, I was like, give me a couple of weeks. It was fine. I had to wait for the skin to grow back over on my knee, and I've got some pretty sweet scars that add to the existing ones that are already there. What? And then I was there for a few months.
Yeah, go.
I was only there for a few months, and then I got an opportunity to do breakfast radio in Warragul, which was easy because it was such an easy drive from Melbourne. So I did that for 6 months. Then I did drive in Darwin. I moved to Darwin and did a year. And when I was there, I became unwell, and I didn't know what was wrong. And I just had to resign because the medical system just wasn't amazing. And even the general manager said, he's like, we have a saying, when in pain, get on a plane. So he's like, go back home to Melbourne. And then when I came home, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. And then at the same time, endometriosis. So that was actually a blessing because I'd been trying to get that diagnosis for years. And then they're like, so we're going to deal with both of these things now. So, And then I just wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep working. I was like, I need to go. I'm on a roll. I've had all these great jobs. People know who I am. They're calling me. I need to keep working.
I don't have time for cancer.
No, I have got absolutely no time for cancer. Get out of here, all right? And then I ended up getting a phone call from one of the heads of Fox FM in Melbourne and for the network. And he called me. I just started doing a couple of weeks, doing like a summer fill-in breakfast show in K-Rock in Geelong. And he called me. He's like, we've got this show. It's a network night show. Do you want to do it? And I was like, oh, okay, thanks so much, K-Rock, for offering me this opportunity. They knew that I was having this operation, which I ended up getting diagnosed with cancer with. So I'm going to Fox going, I've just been given a network night show. Don't tell anyone that you've got cancer. Is that not the dumbest thing? That's the dumbest thing. I was 22. I was like, don't tell anyone.
Crazy. And
Yeah.
so, okay, so what happened next?
Well, spoiler alert, I lived, so I'm here. And
yeah. But wait, tell us more about, because it seems to me that there's this repetitive thing going on with you where you get what you want and then you fuck yourself over.
Yeah. So I was able, because I'd had the surgery and they were able to, what they believed at that time, successfully remove the cancer. I didn't have to have chemotherapy. I had chemo tablets and steroid tablets, and then lots of checkups. You know, it's a 1 month checkup, 3 month checkup. And then when I went for the 3 month checkup, they said to me, oh, we've been a little bit conservative with how much of your cervix we removed. And, you know, because they're trying to preserve my cervix, thinking that I want to bear a child one day. You know, that's what you need. And they said, oh, we need to cut out more of your cervix. We need to go again. I was like, oh, I need to go and tell my boss. So I'd never told them I'd been working there for 3 months. And then I had to go in, and I remember, you know, crying in the studio and the producer just consoling me. I was like, I don't want to tell them. She's like, well, you're going to have to. Someone's going to have to cover your shift. And I didn't want anyone to cover me. I was like, no, someone covers me, I'm going to lose my job.
What if they're better?
Yeah, what if they're better?
Yeah.
So I went and told the bosses, and they were fine. They were like, what do you need? How much time off? What's the go? I just said, I made, again, because I made it work around me, even cervical cancer, I scheduled my laparoscopy for the Thursday, because the show that I was doing was only on air Monday to Thursday, not Friday. So that I'd only miss one show and then I'd have the weekend to recover. I mean, I definitely should have had a whole week off work, but then I thought, it's okay. I'm just going to sit down and I can host the show. I was quite tender when I went back to work on Monday. But we made it work, and it was fine. And, you know, if I turn around and I said to them I need a week off for surgery or 2 weeks, I'm sure they would have said okay. But in my head, I was like, no, just one day. It's fine. We're going to be fine. So ridiculous. Anyway, so we got through it, and after that I was fine. Everything was fine. All my checkups were fine. Remission period was great. Blitzed it. Even had my remission period shortened, so that was all fine. Still dealing with endo because that's not curable, but you know, that's a different journey, and I've learned a lot about that. But yeah, that was how that experience was at that time. And it's just so strange to think that I didn't stop and try and treat my body the way that it needed to be treated. And my body was so mad. I mean, I got shingles while I was doing all of this too, which isn't surprising. You know, if your body's just run down, your immune system's just saying, yo, stop. So I've come out of hospital, I've had a laparoscopy, so you're all gassed up because they pump up your stomach. And so I couldn't sleep on my stomach, and the shingles rash and the blisters were all down my back. And so I was trying to sleep on my side, and my housemates were trying to flip me like I'm on a rotisserie so I could find somewhere comfortable to sleep, and mum's coming over to clean the house. And I had all these other people propping me up just because I couldn't give myself a bit, which, you know, I'm not going to say I regret things because that's silly, because you learn. But, I mean, if I was going to do it again, touch wood, I never do that again. But, you know, I would put my hand up and say, hey, guys, I need some time for me. My body needs to heal and recover. But at 22, I was just on this mission. I was like, I'm going to do this. I've got a network night show in my hometown. Nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah, yeah. And so have you in that point or at that point or since then, have you had the ability to, or have you done, have you sort of sat back and dealt with all of that craziness that's happened, or are you still just on the go? It's like, all right, let's get this shit done.
Oh no,
Like,
I had to deal with it.
yeah.
I had to deal with that when I got divorced years later, because I just kept myself busy. I
Mm,
just would steam train, but just keep going, keep waking up. And there are a lot of reasons why my brain was functioning like that. I now know I have ADHD, so that's another reason why my brain was like, just keep going,
mm.
even if it's a mess, keep going.
Oh,
You know, I was,
sorry, I want to go back to that, like in terms of the divorce, and
hmm,
the divorce happened, and then I guess after that you said you were forced to deal with it. Can
you
you
have to. You got to deal
share,
with
like,
your shit.
huh?
You got to deal with your shit.
Exactly.
It
But how
doesn't
did you,
matter who's at fault.
mm,
Like we have all got shit. Everybody. I don't care how well put together you are. I don't care how much you meditate. I don't care what beautiful vegan lifestyle you have or how much water you have. Like we have all got something that has made us think this way, and it's like it's programmed in us. And
mm,
so if you don't want it programmed in you, you have to unprogram that. And you are not equipped probably to unprogram it. So go and see a professional who is.
mm,
You want to get your diet right, you go and see a nutritionist or dietitian. You're not feeling well, well, then you'll go and see someone in the Eastern or the Western medicine, or both. I'm a big believer in using Eastern and Western medicine. If you want to get fit, go and see PT. We do that. Do you service your own car?
mm.
I don't know how to service my own car. I take it to a mechanic. So if you do all of those things, then why wouldn't you go and see somebody to help you unpack all of that?
Mm.
And we are unbelievably blessed. We need more. The government needs to do more. The government needs to pay for more. The government should be subsidizing mental health care plans. People shouldn't be left out of pocket. People shouldn't be waiting the amount of time that they are. One of my best friends in another state had to wait over 12 months to get into a counselor during the pandemic. That's disgusting. No one should have
Scary.
to wait that long. Yeah, it
No.
is. And it was really scary for me because I couldn't get to them. I
Mm,
couldn't fix them and I couldn't hold them or hug them through that.
mm,
So, the government can do better. But in terms of, in comparison to other countries, we do have mental health care plans. You can have your 10 visits, which actually are now just automatically 20 visits right now.
mm,
You can do online services. There's also student clinics that you can also go and see. That's another thing that a lot of people just don't realize. You want to go and see a podiatrist, but the podiatrist or the osteo might be a little bit expensive, or to have a massage might be expensive. Well, when they're studying, there's student clinics, and they've got their teachers, their professors looking over them, and you will
mm.
receive great treatment at a far the cheaper price as well.
Cheaper price.
Those
Yeah.
things are all there. Lifeline is available 24/7. I have absolutely called Lifeline before. I remember sitting on my bedroom floor in year 12 just going, how am I going to do this? How am I going to
Mm,
do my exams?
yeah.
And sitting on the phone to a wonderful woman on Lifeline, on the line for like 3 hours. She just stayed with me on the phone. It's great. We
Mm,
have all of these services there. It's really hard to stick your hand up sometimes and say, I need help. I
mm,
was speaking to a woman just the other day. She's just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was like, hey, a lot of people are going to say, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do grocery shopping or whatever? They want to help. People want to help you.
mm,
But sometimes you also need to tell them how to help. I was like, so let people drive you to your doctor's appointments. Let people drive you to all your blood tests and stuff that you need to do. I'm like, let them help. You need help. Allow people to come and hug you and surround you and support
mm,
you. And sometimes we've got that in our friends and family. Sometimes we don't. It's definitely there from a professional scale.
mm.
And you have to reprogram your brain. You just have to. This is just me. I can't talk about anybody else's bullying experiences. I had some harrowing ones, but just all like physical, awful. Like one, I've got it in my brain. It doesn't affect me mentally to say it anymore. But when I went back to school after I had that really bad car accident and I was in the neck brace, and the sternum brace because I had a fracture in my sternum as well. And I went back to school only because the school had contacted Mum to say that I'd won some awards, like end of year 8 awards. Woo. Mm. And Mum said, oh, do you feel up to going? I think it'd be really good to get you out of the house. You've been laying on the couch for a few weeks. So I was really excited to go back. And then one of my friends said, why don't you come and clear out your locker with us because, you know, got to move. I went, yeah, no worries. And we're in the process of doing that, me bending down to go and clear out my locker, someone slammed my head and my neck in the locker. Oh. I was in a neck brace and a back brace. I'd just been in a car accident. I hadn't been at school for weeks, you know, so it was like bullying's bad. But I'm a woman in my mid-30s now. I can't be having a breakdown because of a guy that slammed my head and my neck in a locker when I was already in a neck brace. You know, then I've got to deal with it. I've got to unpack it. I have to work out why that hurt me or affected me psychologically, emotionally, physically, and then we process it and then we move on.
Yeah. And so what's the what do you reckon would be the biggest aha moment that you would have had at that point after you had your divorce and you know, you started unpacking your shit, you realized you're just as fucked up, if not more, than the next person? What was the sort of aha moment that you had for yourself moving forward?
So I was planning on having a hysterectomy to treat adenomyosis, which is, I mean, similar but not the same as endometriosis. It affects the actual walls of your uterus. And so I had growths all throughout my uterus. It was debilitating. I couldn't, like, I was just in muumuus all the time. I couldn't wear pants. I couldn't zip things up and have a button over my stomach. It was so painful, on top of endometriosis flare-ups as well. I had a lot of operations, and the specialist that I've been seeing, he said to me, he's like, you're not going to be able to carry a child in there. We've done everything to preserve your reproductive organs, and we've, you know, had great success, but it's just, it's too damaged. It's too much. We need to take it out. And so I planned. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it out. We left my ovaries. My fallopian tubes came out as well, which they can successfully separate now. They needed to come out because I'd had a tumor on my right fallopian tube as well. So they're like, we need to take the fallopian tubes. Like, they've had a tumor before. Let's just deal with it. And we'll keep the ovaries in and we'll see how that all goes. And I was, you know, planning all of that when I was 29. And then I was seeing a counselor at the time anyway. And I think I just made this promise to myself that my 30s were going to be a whole lot better than my 20s. And that was what the mission became. I was like, how do I make sure that this is better? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? There's like a no stone left unturned sort of thing. So I was changing my diet anyway. I had to change my diet because of all the medical stuff. And
I remember, was it around that time? I remember you lost a shit ton of weight. I remember there was like this moment where I just saw you. Well, just through, you know, your Instagram or whatever. I was like, holy shit, she's on some little cool journey here. And I just saw you, you know, you started to open up. You were like literally flowering open, and you started getting a little bit, and not the weight's got any attachment to happiness or anything like that. But I saw that with you. I was like, fuck yeah, she's on a journey. And I was so proud of you because obviously, you know, and a weight is a big thing for a lot of people. You know, it is, it's like it's a thing, whether it's medical or physical or mental or whatever it might be. But I saw you and you were on a fucking mission. And I'm like, from afar, I was like, Sarah Maree, like, you're doing it. Go girl. I was punching the air for you from afar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a byproduct of everything else that was happening. I had been on all sorts of steroids, you know. I mean, there was this one time that I had septicemia and I'm in ICU and they're just pumping you full of drugs, and your body takes so long to recover once you have that infection. And I was just puffing up, and then I had a few complications after I had my hysterectomy as well. And I just started ballooning in weight. I honestly didn't care though, because I was like, I need to take time. My body needs to do this. I'm seeing an endocrinologist. I was having blood tests, my gynecologist, my GP. Everybody was all over it. We knew what was going on. I was like, just let my body expand. We'll come back in later. It's fine. Don't worry about it. The other reason why I really had to make sure that I move that weight is because I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which affects your hormones. And I remember a doctor saying to me, having PCOS is like when you carry 1 kilo of extra weight with PCOS, it's more like 2. So if you've got someone that's 10 kilos overweight and what that might do to their body, maybe for you, it's like that's 20. So if you're 20 kilos, that's like 40. We're just really interrupting what your hormones need to do. And I have an underactive thyroid and just, medical stuff. I was like, I need to move my body. And actually, I mean, there's a few little aha moments. One was actually with my ex-husband's, one of his best friends. But full disclosure, by the way, like I will always be thankful for being married. I will always be thankful for meeting my ex-husband and all of his friends and his family. And I grew and I learned so much because of that experience. So I'm unbelievably thankful. And this is just another one of those moments where I go, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't meet him.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't have met that person. And I would have these really long chats with one of his friends about all the hikes that he would do. He did huge hikes. Like he'd go and do the ones where you go overseas for 8 weeks and do those huge hikes. I'm like, that's incredible. And I loaned him one of my favorite hiking books that I had from when I was doing ventures in Melbourne. And then one day, I guess he was just having a bit of a short tether moment day, and that's fine. We have them. He'd had a hard day. He was talking about some hike somewhere, and that was a hike that I'd done when I was maybe about 15 or 16. And he said, yeah, we get it. You used to hike. And I was like, oh. It's like, well, I love hiking. I can't hike. I'm in debilitating pain most of the time. I can't move my body. He's like, yeah, but anyway. And then he moved on with the conversation. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm not the person that I want to be. I'm not doing the things that I want to do. I can't even do the things that I want to do. I want to just take a long stride and it hurts. I want to wear high-waisted jeans and I can't. And yeah, that was another one of those little bits that you collect and you pop it in your back pocket and it creates like a little fire. And then that, I guess, brings me to that point of when I was 29. I thought my 30s are going to be better than my 20s.
And that was a choice.
I guess so. But also I feel like with all the medical stuff that I've dealt with, I had to. And I'm really thankful that I have endo because it means I have to look after my body. I have to look after myself. If I don't, my body falls to pieces. My life quickly starts shutting down. And it's this, prevents me from burning the candle at both ends. My mother always said to me, she's like, you're going to burn yourself out. You burn the candle at both ends. You just never stop. And then you have to stop at some point. So I'm really thankful that I have that. It makes me go and, do Pilates and meditate and try and do yoga and stretch and have baths with magnesium. Magnesium's my best friend. I love it. It is the best. If no one has told you how great magnesium is, just get onto it. Take it in a tablet, put it in your bath, get it in a spray. It is the best.
So with all this stuff and all the experiences and the journeys, especially the long list of medical stuff from accidents to cancer, my God, so much, so many things in there where people would have just gone, do you know what? This has been all right for this lifetime. I'm fucking done. And I'll just come back in the next one and let's just, but it's like so incredible that you've been through all this stuff and you're just sitting back and you've got, your place in the world. And you can really hear that from how you're speaking. You're like, I've got my journey. All this other stuff is just it's just there. It's cool. I'm not going to focus on it. I want to come back to what I really want to do. And, but I also think just intuitively that with you, there would have been a moment with you where you just literally broke the fuck down. You were in tears and you were like, I am fucking done. Like, this is just too much.
Oh, yeah.
There, when would have been the last time that happened?
The worst I ever got was I didn't want to be here.
Mm.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
That was it. I was done. And that was when I towards the end of, it was December 2010. So I just had a couple of weeks earlier had been told that I was in my remission period. Everything was great. Keep going. Wonderful. I flew up to the Gold Coast and I was given an opportunity to fill in on a night show up there. Had a great co-host that I was on with. And we'd gone out that day. We'd gone for a surf. It was the first surf that I'd had all year because I wasn't allowed to go into the ocean and do those things. You got to look after all your wounds and all that kind of stuff. Also, I just didn't have the stomach strength from the surgeries. So I had a little paddle, had a great time. We went to the studio. We did our show. And in between one of the songs, I walked out of the studio to go to the bathroom, and the cleaners had moved one of the bins directly to the door.
I know where this is going.
As soon as I stepped out the door, I fell. And when I fell, rather than falling like this and falling on my wrist, I fell into a wall and I punched the wall and I tore my flexor tendon. I tore my ulnar nerve. I broke my hand. I broke my wrist in multiple places. And then when I went to the hospital, and when they did the x-ray, they only x-rayed to about there. It was like there to there. And they saw the broken bones there. And they focused on that. They're like, yeah, you've got a couple of breaks in your wrist. And then work flew me back home. They're like, okay, well, you're off work now. Go heal, recover. 3 days later, my arm was purple. So I'm being rushed into emergency. And what had happened was I'd actually had a spiral fracture of my fourth metacarpal, and it had gone and crossed over like that, but it was too late for them to operate and replace the bone, and the bone's too thin for them to snap and do it again. So much later down the track, I ended up having that bone shaved down because it looked like I had a ganglion, but my hand's now deformed. So my knuckle is like back here. I don't have much.
You should go in the Guinness World Book of Records. Like, how much shit? Jesus. And to have a smile after all that, that's fucking epic.
The mind is so powerful because this is my left hand and I'm left-handed, and I had to teach myself to write. I had to teach myself how to open things again, and my ulnar nerve is not the greatest anymore. I've had multiple surgeries on it. So my radial nerve does a lot of the moving. I don't have much feeling here. The hand's I can't make a full fist or anything like that. If you put the lid on too tight on something, my partner knows I can't undo it, so don't. But through that process, I was actually in a sling for over a year between having different surgeries and reconstructions and everything. And I was living by myself. And I, just come off the back of doing like all the cervical cancer stuff. I got one surf, the one and only surf. The last time I surfed was December 2010. And I was like, what's the point? I can't even hold anything. I can't panel. I can barely type, let alone write. I couldn't feed myself. You want to go out for lunch with people. I couldn't cut my food. I was like smashing pasta all the time because you could just use the fork. And that was the tough time. That was the lowest of the low, because I felt like with everything else I could adapt, everything else I could learn. I was like, I can't use my arm. And I was fighting, insurance companies. They are awful. I had one lady tell me once, she's like, you're not even that bad. One of the people I have to deal with is a quadriplegic. And I was like, what does that even mean? Wow. That's a person from the insurance company. And I was like, I'm just asking for help in my home because I can't vacuum.
Yeah.
And I'm living by myself, disabled. And that was really hard. And that was the lowest. There will never be a lower moment than that. There's not for me, there was not a lower moment than not being able to get dressed. Yeah.
And what about and then so you pulled yourself out of that and you obviously moved forward because you're here.
Yeah.
And so up until this point, what's been the moment where you felt like you're unstoppable, like you are Wonder Woman?
That was definitely a point in the middle of my time doing breakfast radio in K-Rock. Do you know what else is really funny about my life? I've been able to go back, I feel, and it's so weird. I must have been secretly manifesting that I needed to go back and make amends to the places that I was working or the people that I was with, because each of the radio stations that I first worked at, I worked at again, and I got a do-over, if you will. So the 2 weeks that I spent doing the summer breakfast fill-in show down at K-Rock all those years earlier, fast forward, I'm getting to go back and do breakfast radio then and do it there for almost 2 years. I ended up working at Nova again, and I hosted afternoons there for almost 4 years. I got to go back and work at the Fox again for almost a year. I got all these do-overs. I was like, what is going on? It's like the universe is saying, you're learning lessons. Let's go back. Let's go back and fix these things. It's so strange. But yeah, halfway through, just living down in Geelong and moving down there by myself, as, you know, a separated woman, newly single, finding a beautiful home and just living my life. And I go there and do the show, have a great time. I love my co-host that I had down there so much. My work husband, he's such a dear friend to me still and will be forever, whether he likes it or not. And then I'd get up there and I'd go hiking. I reckon about 4 or 5 times a week. I was hiking up in the Yangs. I'd get off there. I'd go to the beach. I'd go do the Surf Coast trek. I'd run out and do some ocean dips. I was like, oh my gosh, is this life where you make decisions and you go out and you have a great time and eat good food and have a, you know, wonderful connections with people and your family and your friends? And there was just, that was a really big click for me. It was just the best. And then I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, if you put in the work, this is what life is. This is the enjoyment that you get. It was just that really unbelievably fulfilling moment. I still pinch myself now when I'm at Triple M. I was like, what is this? I'm standing there in the studio. I was like, how am I allowed to be in here? This is insane. It's the best.
Yeah.
I just have this gratitude that just bubbles over me every single day. Like I'm like, wow, I woke up today. That's amazing.
Morning world.
Truly.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a gift that is offered to everybody. One of my friends just died in his sleep. No medical issues. Just sleep apnea. Just didn't wake up. You know, mid-20s. I was like, what? That happens. And I think, you know, perhaps it is all of the things that I've had happen in my life. I don't know. Maybe it is all the experiences that I've had that make me be this grateful just to exist, just to wake up, just to be here, just to have a voice. I have a voice and I get to use it. And I use it to share stories or connect with people or make people laugh. Like, you know, that was, when my confidence hit, that was when I started to get back into improv again, and I started getting back into theatre, all those things that I loved so much when I was in high school, doing stand-up comedy.
Scars and all.
Yeah. Now I'm like, check them out. Let's go. I got heaps. What of it? My stomach looks like I've been caught in a bad drug deal gone wrong in South America somewhere because I've had so many operations, but whatever. Doesn't matter. They're just scars. And there's plenty more people who share their scars, be it physical or emotional. And I definitely think that when we're talking about diversity and representation, you know, this is why it matters so much, because no one ever said the words to me, your scars hold you back. They were just things that I was seeing in the media and being portrayed. We need more people of colour. We need more diverse lineups. We need people with disabilities on TV. It infuriates me when I'm watching movies. You got these big movies, multi-million-dollar things. I was like, you couldn't get somebody on there that just looks a little bit different. You know, they're disabled and they're just there. We've got different people. I'm like, why? Why is no one wearing glasses in movies? You know, unless they're like Superman or something. Like they're an aid and we need them to see. You know, like we just need to normalize those sorts of things. We've got so many beautiful people that walk this earth. We need to see them. We need to hear them. We need to give them the platform. And that's definitely the thing that I think about the most. Everything that I do, if I'm ever mentoring someone, trying to help them get into media and tell them little tips and tricks that I know, I'm like, okay, well, I'm very sorry if you're a white male, but you don't need me. Yeah, I'm not your mentor. If you're a white male, I'm not your mentor. Find someone else. I wish you all the very best, all the love and light. Look after yourself, please. But I'm not your mentor. I'm going elsewhere. I'm going to go and find some other people that need a helping hand. Because if you're not helping someone else in life, for me, that's what we should be sharing.
Absolutely. Especially if you've got a story to tell, and a lot of us do wear scars, as you said, either on the outside or the inside. And if you've got the courage to be out there and express your truth out to the world, and help some people in the process, like there's no other feeling like it. And I think both of us know that.
Yeah. It's not, and then like you know what it's like, where you're cracking the code. You're like, okay, so this is how I'm doing life, but imagine if I did it like this. That's like the switch flicks, right? When you're in charge of your happiness. If I could impart any wisdom on anyone, it's go and find the things that make you happy, and be in charge of all of your own serotonin. Don't go for the dopamine hit. It's quick, depletes everything else. Don't go on your phone and post a hot, but whatever. Go on your phone and post a hot photo if you want. I can't tell you not to do that. But if something else makes you happy, like just makes your heart sing, that's what you need to find. It's the stuff that makes you happy, that everlasting feeling that fills your cup, that makes you want to share it with other people. That's empowering when you work out what makes you happy. But before you get there, you got to work out what makes you sad, what brings you down, unpack that, work on that shit, go and get some help, let it all out, and then you find happiness.
Through choosing happiness and choosing joy and stuff. Like that's the key, isn't it? And so it'll be interesting, like with now, like you've pretty much you've got yourself to an incredible spot. Like you've got a great career. You're very well known in the radio world. You've worked at all the big stations. So what do you feel complete, or what's next for you? What are you doing? You're like, nah, fuck that. I need to be the prime minister.
No, oh my goodness, no way. Mum always said to me, she's like, you'd make a great lawyer or a politician. And I was like, I'm too nice.
Too nice.
Yeah.
Now, where are you taking this? Where are you taking this whole life of yours?
I definitely want to do more comedy. I am very blessed to be moving into a different time slot next year, which will afford me that opportunity to do more stand-up, because at the moment I'm on from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. And next year I move to 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. And I'm a big stickler for my bedtime. I love sleep. There's, just some really basic things that you need in life. If you can, I understand that, if you've got kids and that can be really hard, but I don't have kids right now. So there's no reason why I can't be shooting for 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night to look after my body, and drinking 3 liters of water. So, those things I will not compromise on. And that's very hard when you want to do stand-up comedy, because the gigs are late and there's a lot of gigs during the week as well. And I get up at about 6:30 and, I might go to Pilates or stretch or something beforehand to wake me up for work. And I need to do that. So that means I need to be in bed by 10. It's not conducive to the comedy lifestyle. So the very fact that I get to operate at a slightly different hour next year means that I can do more comedy gigs, and I want to do that. I want to make people laugh. I want to share our stories. In one of my bits that I'm rolling at the moment, I'm talking about my cervical cancer, like when I was diagnosed, and just some of the funny shit that happened along the way, because it was funny. It is funny. And when I talk to other women, I'll go and talk on all these women's health panels and reproductive health panels, because I'm an ambassador for Endometriosis Australia and the Australian Cervical Cancer Foundation. So, for well over a decade, I've been connecting with all these people who share a similar story to me in some parts. and we have a laugh, and I'm like, I could do this on stage. We can connect to this, like this, absolutely. And it works. I remember the first time I was like, I'm going to talk about cervical cancer on stage. How's this going to go? Went down a treat. I was like, you know why? Because we're humans and we have shared experiences, and we can laugh about it. We can laugh at ourselves. We can laugh at those funny moments. You know, there are opportunities to find comedy in places. You know, even at the saddest of funerals, someone's rolling out gags in a eulogy. It's there. Comedy is there. Light is there. And if I can, I don't think I'm here to write the most amazing jokes. I don't think that's what I'm doing. But I think if I can make people smile, and if I can make people laugh and enjoy some escapism, you know, like you've left the dirty washing at home, you've come out for the night, you're there, and you're having a great time with maybe your partner or your friend. It's a very special moment. So I just really want to do more of that. I want to make people happy.
Yeah. And so where, like, if people listening to this now, where have you got any gigs coming up?
Where am I? I think well, see, this time of year, a lot of the rooms start to shut down. We go into Christmas. So if I were to do a gig, it'd be quite sporadic. But a lot of the rooms that are quite active that I will go and perform in, there's Jambo Comedy in Footscray and Kindred Studios in Yarraville, Death or Glory on Chapel Street in Paran. What else is there? Guerrilla Comedy in Hawthorne.
We know what I'll put all the I'll put all the details in the.
Give you a couple of links. Yeah. There's no specific ones now. We need a holiday, Tommy.
True that.
Right.
Christmas is here again. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, it was so good to hear your story. It's like I'm actually surprised of how much shit you've been through. I actually had no idea. That is unbelievable. And for you to do all of that with and to achieve what you've achieved, and to get to this place. I mean, if I was in your body, there'd have to be a moment where I'd sit back and go, fuck, I'm doing unbelievable, like with what I've had to deal with through my lifetime. And we didn't even get to go into your fucked up childhood.
I think you know what, I grew up with such beautiful brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of 5. My mum and dad instilled great, you know, a great moral compass and an ethical compass really comes from them. My love of media comes from my dad. My mother is the most stoic woman you've ever met in your whole damn life. And she's just like, you're here and you're living, so just do it.
No,
it's that's where it comes from.
Yeah. And it's true. It's like all of us have to realize that it's a blessing to be here. You know, I can't remember who I heard it from, but someone, I don't know how they worked it out or whatever, but the chances of us actually being born is something like 470 trillion to 1 or some shit like that. So it's like, if at any point you think you're hard done by, or you're taking your life too seriously, then, you know, just get out there and have some serious fun.
Yeah. I was just reading stats on embryo transfers before we kick this off, because at the start of the year, my partner and I, we actually made embryos, and so we've got them in eyes. Yeah. So in the future, we will be, you know, on the lookout for a surrogate, which can be difficult in Australia. But I have full faith that thing in the back of my brain where, much like my career and everything, I'm like, it's okay. It's going to be a hard slog, but it's going to be okay. And years from now, we're going to be holding our babies and everything's going to be fantastic. And I was just reading the stats of, you know, how many successful pregnancies eventuated from transfers over the last couple of years. And I was like, hoo-wee, those stats aren't necessarily amazing, but that's okay, because we have our beautiful embryos and we are blessed, and we're very excited to start that journey in the future. Very cool. Very cool. Well, young Sarah Maree, what an honor to have you on. And I know we could keep going, but I just think, you know, it was so cool to hear your story, and I loved having you on. And I'll put all, wherever you can find Sarah Maree, I'll put all the details into the podcast notes. So if you want to get onto her, or you can hear Sarah Maree on Triple M if you're in Melbourne, Australia.
Is it just Melbourne or is it national?
You know, people can stream us too. We've got this lovely little app.
Yeah, Triple M.
Like rock and roll.
Love it. Love it, love it. So yeah, honoured to have you on, and yeah, go. It'll be pretty amazing to see what you're going to create over the next. I don't know, how old are you? 30.
I'm 34, 35 next year.
So I'll get you back on in 35 years when you're 70.
I'm sitting there with my grandchildren. Here they are. Did it.
Love it, love it. All right, honoured to have you on, and I'll I don't know, fucking see you later, babe.
Yeah, see you around town, babe.